Robespierre was in charge of the Committee on Public Safety and came to be the leader of the entire revolution. He always had a list of names of traitors to be killed, and many people were guillotined under his command. Eventually, his list of names backfired, and the Assembly had him killed before he could name them. Marat ran the extremely radical newspaper The Friend of the People and greatly influenced the violent course of the revolution. While he was taking a bath for his skin condition, Charlotte Corday assassinated him.
Behold! Behold! The Ziggy Pig, the single greatest ice cream spectacle known to man.
Eat the pig, eat the pig. Ziggy, 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 Zig. Ton bâton.
It's ice cream. You eat it. It's good.
La glace.
Whatever, just eat it.
From a young age, Napoleon showed skill and strategy and leadership, but a lot of his rise to power is also due to luck. He first gained notice for successfully squashing the Vendéan Rebellion during the Revolution. His marriage to Josephine elevated his status. In his Egypt campaign, he lost but deflected any blame or criticism by bringing home the Rosetta Stone. He also exaggerated his victory in Italy. After the French Revolution, there was a huge power vacuum in France. Napoleon decided to take it for himself with a coup d'etat. He overthrew the government without firing a shot. However, he afterwards spread the story that it was a difficult fight in order to give himself a reputation as a strong leader. Traditionally, the Pope was supposed to crown the emperor, but Napoleon crowned himself and then crowned Josephine to show that he was more powerful than the church. His mother didn't attend the coronation because they were having a fight, but he had her painted into the portrait anyway. Napoleon's invasion of Russia was a complete failure. He did not bring enough food for his troops, thinking that they would scavenge the land, but the Russians used a scorched earth policy against him. He abandoned his troops in Russia and returned back to France a failure. Napoleon's final defeat was at the Battle of Waterloo. Because of a delay in the battle due to rain, Napoleon lost decisively. He tried to kill himself with a cyanide pill afterward, but it didn't work. The Congress of Vienna was a meeting of the leaders of Europe meant to deal with the aftermath of Napoleon. The main players were Duke von Metternich from Austria-Hungary, Alexander I from Russia, and Talleyrand from France. They focused on restoring a balance of power to Europe and returning what they deemed legitimate monarchs to power. Austria combined with Hungary in an attempt to make itself more powerful. Although Hungary had its own government, Austria controlled all of Hungary's foreign policy, which angered many Hungarians. Tsar Alexander II instituted many changes in Russia in an attempt to catch up with the rest of Europe. One of his biggest actions was freeing the serfs, although the Russian peasants were still very poor and tied to their land. Alexander III encouraged pogroms in Russia during his reign. Pogroms were campaigns of violence and persecution against Russian Jews. As a result, many Jews in Russia fled the country for Western Europe and America. Marie Curie won the Nobel Peace Prize for the work she did with radiation. Her work led to the creation of the X-ray, but unfortunately she died of radiation poisoning. Sigmund Freud was an Austrian psychologist who came up with new theories for psychoanalysis and dream interpretation. He said that every person had an id, instincts, an ego, moral conscience, and a superego that referees between the two. Nietzsche came up with the concept of the Übermensch, or Superman. However, unlike the traditional idea of a Superman, Nietzsche's Übermensch was selfish, lonely, and independent. Monet was a famous Impressionist artist. Impressionism was an art movement that began in France that emphasized more abstract and unrealistic paintings. He is famous for his paintings of water lilies and bridges. Spencer was a German philosopher who believed in social Darwinism. Social Darwinism applied evolution to societies and said that some races were better than others because of survival of the fittest.
If Russia were to attack Austria, Germany would attack Russia. But that would leave Germany undefended on the other side. So, if Germany were to attack Russia, she would also have to attack France.
France?
Yes, France. And if Germany were to attack France, it would leave Belgium threatened. And Belgium is our friend. So, we would hop in there to defend them.
So, we've all got to go and fight in a war because of that, sir?
Yes, Maltravers.
Well, I might get killed, sir.
Yes, you might, Maltravers. But it would all be for a good cause.
So, where is Bosnia again?
The Battle of Verdun was a significant battle on the Western Front. The Germans attempted to beat France with a war of attrition tactic. Many French soldiers rebelled, and the Germans were almost successful. On Christmas 1914, troops on both sides on the Western Front stopped fighting to celebrate Christmas together on no man's land. It was an unofficial truce, largely organized by the soldiers themselves. World War I changed the face of warfare on Europe. It got rid of the romanticized notion of war and led to a policy of appeasement in the next 2 decades. The Treaty of Versailles is one of the biggest contributing factors of World War II. It subjugated Germany to harsh conditions such as massive reparations, occupation by the Allied countries, and the acceptance of full blame for the war. Vladimir Putin is the current Prime Minister of Russia. Many accuse his government of being authoritarian, and in recent years he's caused a lot of controversy by backing the Assad regime in Syria and annexing Crimea. In recent years, Europe has experienced a huge influx of immigrants and refugees from Syria and other Middle Eastern countries. Some European countries, such as Germany, have been very open towards these immigrants, while others, such as Hungary, are refusing to let them in. On November 13, 2015, ISIS terrorists killed 130 people in Paris, and they killed 35 people in Brussels on March 22, 2016. Hundreds more were injured. These attacks have promoted an atmosphere of fear and terror in Europe.
Well, now the euro is in trouble and they like to blame the Greeks. Keep talking, oh, keep talking. An economic bubble cause we work 10-hour weeks. We'll keep the money, you bet we'll keep the money. We'll send gifts to show remorse, not another Trojan horse. Here's another way to go.
Charge $1,000 for each gyro.
Greece is frightening. Go, 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 go. Oh, Greece is frightening, you're wondering what the Greeks are doing. Greece frightening, whoa, Greece frightening. Oh, Greece is frightening, we've always had a thing for ruin. Greece frightening, whoa, Greece frightening. We are a real Achilles heel. Greece is frightening.
In 2009, the Greek economic crisis began. Greece announced that its deficits were much higher than they'd said, and were cut off from any borrowing. Since 2009, Greece has had to issue several bailouts with serious economic reforms.
Now I would like to sing our national anthem. My country 'tis of thee, Austria, Hungary, obey your king. What? The Archduke is dead?
And the empire is destroyed.
Then what happened?
World War I.
Then what?
World War II.
Then what?
Post-war period.
Then what?
The Cold War.
Then what? Then what?
Geneva.
Then what?
The European Union.
A European Union? Good heavens.
The European Union is a political and economic organization of European nations that currently has 28 members. Although each nation has its own government, all member nations must listen to the European Council, and most have the euro currency.